Hi guys, just want to talk about truth and lies today, because I know some people get frustrated on this stuff, and I think I just wanted to sort of put my perspective on it. With the politics that we're dealing with, well, we're being lied to constantly. The Conservatives are sitting quite far back at the minute, not saying too much, but obviously their new black woman that's heading to be the next leader. There's obviously a diversity piece going in there after we've had our Richie. I'm not even going to get into Scotland's First Minister because that'll just go in another direction. But these are just diversity things. They're not actually on merit. Now, you can't say, well, Matt, that's just wrong. Look at the leadership that we've had lately and what groupings there are. These are not people that are representative of the majority of people. These are being selected out and pushed to the top. Now, don't get me wrong, they may be good at what they do. They may be absolutely dire, being politicians. But the whole point is we do seem to be suffering with diversity madness at the minute. Worldwide. I mean, Disney's is nosedived. Bud Light with its diversity piece there. Nike. Well, Nike was a bit strange, but anyway. Gillette. They've all done things that have impacted because they don't give a toss about their customers. And I would say, not from a founder's perspective, but the way the mentality is in management these days. Now, this is where it will make a bit of sense in a second. But let's just talk about Starmer first. People talk about Starmer being the most corrupt Prime Minister for the UK. I would actually turn around and say he's probably not the most intelligent, in my opinion. I'm sure Richie, Boris and others all got their nose well in the trough. The same as we know with Cameron. I believe there was some deals done with his father around wind turbines, I believe. So I wouldn't say anybody's out the trough. I think they were all exactly the same. Also self-serving parasites. Isn't it weird how he signed off those islands over the last few days without really any notification, discussion or anything like that? Wonder what that deal's about. See, they've made the noise about the US base. I automatically think, what oil's off the coast? What limits has it got? What else is there? Because an air base in the middle of nowhere isn't really worth much. What deals have been done and why were they done? Because it all seems a bit odd to me. But maybe that's my lack of trust in politicians. And you probably notice I keep looking at the trees. Because obviously our good old friend, what's his name now? The energy bloke for the net zero mental guy, Ed Miliband, is now going to spend 22 billion on CO2 capture. I think it's in the Teesside area. 22 billion. Now, call me old-fashioned, but trees absorb CO2 and they convert it to oxygen. Now, I'm not going to get into a scientific point of view, but I do sort of look at it from a bigger perspective of maybe we're knocking down too much land. Maybe we're turning too much into housing estates. Or maybe we're not. Because isn't that what they're doing with the housing now? They're going to expand the housing and look at it tapping into the green belt. It's all a bit odd. It's all hypocritical and nonsense. It's all like they're all in the trough. It's all about money and not for you or me. Unless it's coming out of our pockets, it doesn't go back in. So there's my trust issues there. But you're probably thinking, well, Matt, what was your point? Well, the mentality of these guys is what you get in the corporate world. Because they all do the same type of training. They come out with the same mentality. And it doesn't matter where you are, whether it's in a corporate business or in the Ministry of Defence. You catch people doing stuff or involved in it, and you're an officer, you may get pensioned off early if you're heavily involved in it, while others go to jail. But it's very likely everyone closes rank and looks after you. This is why I think you're not hearing much from the Tories. I don't think it's much to do about, oh well, it's because they performed so badly at the last election, blah blah blah. I just think they're sitting quiet. I don't think they need to do anything. I think they know they just sit it out. Because let's face it, it wasn't a landslide victory because they were good in the first place after Brown, was it? It's because the economy had crashed. There's a cycle in here of Labour in, Conservatives out, Conservatives in, Labour out. It's just a vicious cycle of the same crap, different day. It's all the illusion of doing something different. I've seen it in local authorities where they do area working and then central working. So you'll open up all these little like neighbourhood offices, and then you go, no, we've changed government, we're going to run it all from the city hall. Okay, 5 years later or whatever, we're going to go back to neighbourhood working because a new government, we can show that we're doing a change, we're getting involved in it. It's just utter nonsense. Each time there's people in the trough. They're all in there for the money. And some of it's direct, some of it's indirect. Some of it's things like getting on quangos. Some of it's obviously working extremely close with contractors. Some of it's becoming lunch speakers and evening speakers at £10,000 a hit. Which, if you look at a lot of the MPs, when they come out of the political world, look how many end up on these speaking tours and stuff earning a fortune. You can't tell me this is by accident. So there's the lies there, and there's the truth of the matter that we're dealing with. How do we fix it? I'll leave that to you. It's too complicated, too embedded and too big for me to deal on a Sunday afternoon. There's too many things joined up now as well, whether it's the way the police are operating, to the way the media operate, to the way the politicians and big corporates work. It's all embedded and ingrained. We're all interlinked. And it all sounds conspiracy until you start looking at it. And like I said, look what MPs do when they finish their time. I mean, if you look at Theresa May and what her husband did or does, and the relationship between certain investments, I think it was Capita and Lockheed Martin, and we tested some missiles after they invested in it. There's just lots of these little trails. They don't seem much because it could be a sentence, but it's money changing hands. It's businesses. It's businesses making millions at taxpayers' expense or through taxpayer influence. So, for example, testing missiles that hadn't been tested before, they increase the stock value by 14%. Just these little things. Doesn't sound a lot until you shove 100 million or something like that in, or more, and then you do a short-term investment, spike it, take the money out. Now, wouldn't it be nice to be in that sort of level of information, or would that be inside trading? I'll leave that one to you. But anyway, that's a bit doom and gloom for the Sunday. But I just want to say, a lot of stuff we can't control, but I do think they're pushing too hard lately, and I think they will get some spring back. I think they've nearly broke the camel's back because we can't take any more burden. But from my perspective, guys, just focus on yourselves. I mean, I've got to admit, if Starmer wanted to shake my hand, I wouldn't. Let's put it that way. I wouldn't. But I would say that with nearly every politician out there. It was a bit like when Boris, was it Boris or Trump? Somebody asked me about Boris or Trump. I think it was Boris. I think Peter asked me about Boris. when he first went in. Is he going to be good? You know, and I said, give a politician 6 months, then the true colours come out. Starmer comes straight out the gate. He seems to be full on, get as much out of it before he gets pushed. Because I can see him being out of his seat in probably 2-3 months, because they're already starting to lose by elections and stuff, which doesn't sound a major thing for him, but it is for those that sit in those seats. I think it was Blackpool they lost recently. So those changes are coming.